The Business of Cleaning, the podcast that brings cleaning industry expertise straight to your ears. We interview professionals from all over to bring our listeners knowledge of how to achieve success within their business. Season 1 is about change management and enabling you to both face and create change in all aspects of your company. We're talking management, HR, suppliers, and more. Let's sweep right into the episode. Hi, my name is Haley Morris. I am the podcast coordinator and host for the Business of Cleaning podcast. And today with me is Amanda Villarreal. So Amanda, would you like to introduce yourself and just talk a bit about what you do?
Absolutely. Well, Haley, thank you so much for having me. I am really excited to be part of this episode and especially the topic that we will be covering. But yes, my name is Amanda Villarreal. I am the managing member of PLEX Capital, and that is with a P, PLEX Capital. We are a company based out of Kansas City. You might have heard that before this craziness of COVID-19, the Kansas City Chiefs won. So everyone should know where we are. But we are a finance company that has a specific focus on commercial cleaning companies being able to go and finance those businesses. We have found that commercial cleaning companies struggle to get financing, and we saw an opportunity, and therefore we are now offering our services to various industries with a main focus to commercial cleaning companies. A little bit about me. I'm originally from Guadalajara, Mexico, and came to the States at the age of 5. Have lived in Kansas City since 2000. Went and earned my MBA from Baker University many, many years ago. You're too young, so I won't give the year. And I got really lucky to, in 2007, actually find a new company that was venturing out into commercial financing, specifically for trucking companies. And I was hired as one of the first members of that organization. And that company grew significantly. And I was with them for almost 12 years until last year, June of 2019. And that's when my business partner and I decided to open up PLEX Capital and start looking at industries that need the support of financing. And so here we are with over 20 years of combined experience in commercial finance, and now specifically focusing on financing commercial cleaning companies and a couple other industries that we are really passionate about.
All right. Thank you, Amanda. No, it's great to get a little insight into what you do and your experience. So just for everybody, what we're going to be talking about today, what we brought Amanda on for, is to talk about changing how we react, because obviously with today's situation, it's a little crazy, and we've had to really see how we already do react. And some people have reacted extremely well, and some maybe are kind of still getting their land shoes on, so to speak. So Amanda, would you like to lead off on really what is this basis for how we react? Where does it kind of start?
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and think about life. Life is made up of events. When a child is born, there's that main event of happiness in most cases. You have all of these events that really make up the experiences in life. And so you got to remember that 10% of what happens to you, everything that happens to you is 10%, and 90% of what you make out of it. So you have a decision to take all of these events, being positive or negative, and make something out of it, right? And so let's not forget that we all are in control. How we react, how we go about things, is not necessarily our parents' fault or our employer's fault or COVID-19. Everything is within us. We have that control. And so what I would ask those that are listening to us is to really evaluate the most recent experience that maybe hasn't been the most positive one. And let's put COVID-19 to the side. Maybe it was the ending of a marriage, maybe the passing of a loved one, and really take a look at that and say, if I were to focus on all the positive things, all of the experiences that I had with that partner that I ended up divorcing, right? Because at some point we were all in love and we had those beautiful experiences. What if I just focus on that and I take that and I learn from it and I take it on to my next relationship? Or the passing of a loved one. Many of us have lost brothers or relatives or someone. What if we really focus on all the positive things, all of those beautiful memories, and we just embrace that, and then we take that on to become better people, right? And so one of the number one things that I would ask people to consider is, again, 90% is going to be how you react. And so what is really interesting is, if you really think about it, there are about 7 stages, and this is not scientifically proven, but there are a lot of articles about this. So there are really 7 stages to events. Okay, so if you think about it, it's almost like a horizontal S. It goes something like this. Okay, and so those 7 stages are shock, denial, frustration, depression, which that's at the lowest, experiment, decision, and integration. And so what if we were to make that more of a horizontal line, right? Instead of an S? What if we were to remove the depression side of things, which is the low mood, lacking of energy, kind of just wanting to throw the towel and say, forget about it. I'm just going to stick my head in the sand and we'll see what happens. Well, I think that we can all do that, Haley. I'm going to ask you to share maybe some of those not so good experiences that you've had. Maybe it's still COVID-19, whatever topic you want to share with us or event. And if you think about those stages that I shared, from shock to all the way to integration, can you talk to us a little bit about when you got into that depressing mood? What, or that depressing stage, how did you get out of it? What was that little thing that triggered the decision to actually say, okay, I got to move on from this? And you made that decision and went and executed on that decision.
Um, yeah. So actually there's been a couple things, but one that kind of really is a good example, I guess, for this is actually I went through foster care and I was adopted. And so there was a point where I was so eager for change. It was just, I was jumping straight into each new situation. But there was one that I remember where when I picked my forever family, I said on a sheet of paper, these guys look interesting. Can I go visit them? And then they actually liked me back. And we made the decision to do the adoptive placement, start moving forward with that process. It was good for about a month, and then they wanted to parent, and I wasn't used to parents. I was used to kind of just doing whatever I wanted. And there was this moment of, I don't want to be here. And so the shock maybe wasn't as sharp as it is for somebody because it wasn't like a quick change, it was a slow change. But there was just this moment of like, I don't want this. And oh my gosh, like, why am I here? And then slowly it was just, it declined and it got worse. And we fought, and they took away my phone. I was like 15 at the time. And they're like, no, when you're talking to people, it's really toxic. You're not doing things that you should. You're just negative about it. Like, oh, this is terrible. You're making it sound like a worse situation. It's actually a really good situation. And then that stage of not liking it lasted a while. So I go to school and I enjoy school more because I wasn't fighting with somebody there most of the time. And it was high school. But then like over time, and I mean, it's parents, so you always have your ups and downs. But over time, I started to embrace this situation, be extremely grateful for it, and being like, okay, I have, like, realizing what I had. And then it's obviously kind of catapulted me into where I'm in today, where I'm with a great company, I'm doing something that I love and that is pushing me to continuously be better. So and I'm still really close with my family now. Actually, like, we've gone through so many things over the years, and I think it's been about 9 years that I've lived with my parents, and I've been part of that family. So I went through that. I went through that whole drop. I don't want this. I resisted, and then just unhappy and moping, and I really drug my feet through high school. And then it took me a while to really like embrace it and be like, oh, like literally the only thing holding me back is me. So I guess
And
that's my situation.
it's fascinating because as you're telling the story, you're really following that S shape.
I really did, yeah.
And so, the interesting part of it is when you were at the lowest, which let's call it depression, right? That stage
Hmm.
where everything is negative. And then you said, and then I started to embrace it. And so that's when you're just going through that experiment and saying, okay, I can engage now with this new situation. What are the good
Hmm.
things? What are the positive things? And you kind of started to change your story a little bit. And from there, you just made that decision. Now it became like an integrated thing where it just
Yeah.
became the norm. And now you look at it and you're probably thinking, silly me. At that point, I thought the world was ending. I hated
Right.
my life, probably.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, I
and,
was
and now
so.
a simple example of, and it was not simple
Mhm.
for you at that point, but a simple example of how we can, if we truly understand those stages, and
Mhm.
once again, I want to make this clear that there might be more, but I'm trying to simplify it. If we
Yeah.
truly understand those stages and say, okay, instead of every single time that something happens, instead of that going like this, where we're at the bottom, what if we can just go straight? Right. And so that is that takes me to the next point, and that is to acknowledge that we are going to be facing challenges in life. And
Mhm.
if we understand ourselves and how we work and who we are, is going to help us have less of those depressing moments, because really life becomes a little bit less enjoyable
Mhm.
if we're always depressed, if we're low of energy, if we are angry at the world, right? What if we actually embrace every change? And so there's a difference in, I think I mentioned this at the beginning, Haley.
Mhm.
It's truly a mindset. Everything in life is a mindset,
Yeah.
right? And so you need to understand if you are someone with a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. And the difference is someone that says, this happened to me. I was adopted and my parents didn't love me and my parents this or my parents that.
Yep.
And kind of just throw the towel and say, no one is going to love me in life, right? It's not worth it. But if you make that decision to have a growth mindset, to actually say, well, you know what? I get to really have a bigger family. Even if I don't have any contact with my biological parents,
Mhm.
I still have a bigger family. At one point or another, only time will tell. I may have a great relationship with my parents and my adopted parents, and then that's going to become a bigger family. And there's just going to be so much more that I'm going to learn from it, and so much more that I'm going to do for other kids that are in situations like the ones that I went through. And
Mhm.
so that is a growth mindset. Someone that takes it on and says, well, it happened, but what are some of the good things that I can make out of this? Right? I'm
Yep.
not going to focus necessarily on what I didn't have or I don't have or how I would have liked it to be. I'm going to focus on what I have and how I can make it better. And so, what we're hoping with this presentation is to make you realize that everything is within your power. There's no government, no parents, no one is responsible for you but yourself. Now, I do want to make sure that we understand that there's some difficult situations we'll go through. I myself, I'm a single mom, and it's not the easiest thing. I am the proud mother of a 17-year-old and a almost 7-year-old that acts like an 8-year-old. And so, I could sit home and just say, well, my life is over. COVID-19 is happening. I'm a single mom. I have a senior now in high school. I have my almost 7-year-old son, and I have all of these things going on. But no, I embrace it and I say, okay, this is what I'm responsible for. How can I enjoy it more? How can I make it better?
Mhm.
How can I teach other single moms to go and thrive in life? And so I've made a decision that regardless of what's going on in my life, regardless of the events or the situations, or in this case, COVID-19, I am going to get up every morning and I'm going to go pave the way, not only for myself and my children so I can leave a legacy, but also for other women or other minorities or other entrepreneurs, whomever, to say, I can go do it. If she can go do it, I can go do it. And so we take those things on. And I understand that I'm not going to be necessarily impacting the whole world. But if I can impact one person who then impacts another person, you start to see the compounding on that, right?
Mhm.
And so then life becomes a lot more interesting. Then you start to check in with yourself on how you react to things, and you become so much more aware of it. And now, Haley, we all have those low moments. We do. I mean,
Mhm.
I I
Yeah.
do. And it's okay to have those moments where you get a little bit down, but the
Mhm.
key is to have very few of those and for a short period of time. We're
Yeah.
human. So anyone that is listening, please note that it's okay. That if you get to that moment, that day where you're like, okay, I am going to throw the towel, you might react like that for a little bit, but the key is to be in that stage for as little as you can and make sure that you don't have that many too often.
Mhm. I was gonna say, I don't know if you've ever seen a video like this, but I saw a video a couple years ago, and they talked about the internal locus of control versus the external. So it comes back to that mindset. It's the, do you believe that you're responsible for what's happening or that you can affect it, versus other people who are, they tend to be the ones that say, this happened to me type people. And they say, they kind of the hands off, like everything's happening to them. Whereas the other people are like, oh, this happened because, and here's what I'm doing. And they talk about like the internal locus of control type people have much higher levels of motivation because they're very positive that what they're going to do is going to have an impact. That same thing, like that you can impact one person and they can impact a person, that you know you're doing something with that, which is extraordinary.
Oh, it is. And that is the difference between both types of people. In life, I really think that there are only two types, either the fixed or the growth mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And you can identify people very easily. And I don't know if they can actually change overnight. I think it's more of becoming aware and making the decision that you don't want to have that victimized lifestyle. I
Yeah.
mean, that's not enjoyable. You learn nothing and you're not helping the world move forward. And so you got to make that decision. I myself, I love my life. It hasn't been easy, but I love it. I think that every experience that I have in life gives me the opportunity to become something bigger and greater, someone that is actually moving the world forward. And it's the most beautiful feeling because then you know that you're not necessarily holding others back, or you're not
Mm-hmm.
um, just bringing people down. The most beautiful thing that I have every single day is when I'm able to elevate someone that maybe was feeling a little bit low. And I can come and say, well, look, A, you're breathing. So if you're breathing, keep fighting. B, you have beautiful children. C, you have a roof over your head. So you live better than most of the world. So, let's embrace that. And let's acknowledge that maybe, yes, you're having some issues here, maybe with losing your job. But hey, great opportunity to go and learn something new, because thank God we have technology and we have so many resources where you can get
Mm-hmm.
so much information to become better and maybe develop a new set of skills.
I would agree. I would
Yeah.
agree. I think I've been on that mindset where it's that fixed mindset where it was just, like I said, high school was that period for me where I just kind of coasted, let everything happen to me, and just barely got by. And like, fortunately, I was academically smart, or who knows where I would have been. But I was very much that way, and I started college that way. For a year and a half, I was on this pre-medical track, which is an intense track, and I looked around and I said, I'm not passionate. I don't belong here. And it wasn't that I didn't belong, it was that my mindset didn't belong. And once I changed my mindset, it was like, oh, there's so much I can do. Like, and then it was just trying to decide what to do. But
But your
so
life became a lot more enjoyable once you made
yeah,
that decision.
Extremely. So much more enjoyable. And that's, I mean, that is, again, it's part of that catalyst that eventually got me to where I am, because I joined an academic organization that got me in touch with people, got me my first internship, got me my placement as a recruiter here that I did for a year before um, a recruitment kind of demand. We didn't need two people doing it. And they're like, okay, Haley, where do we want you? Because we want you here, but what can we do? And then we saw the opportunity with podcasting, and here I am. So
And that's fantastic. And I think you do a great job. You have the personality,
thank
the
you.
skill set, and everything. So I'm sure you're going to be extremely successful as you continue to develop all of these podcasts. And so the company is very lucky to have you.
Thank you so much.
So just to recap on a few of the points that we have
Mhm.
touched base is, again, remember that 10% is what happens, 90% is how you react. And that's kind of cliche, but it's so true. I
It's
mean,
true.
like, once you start thinking about it, you're like, okay, so if I lost my job, do I
Mhm.
just wait for unemployment? Do I just wait to see who's going to come rescue me? Or do I make the decision to get out and create and build something for myself, and maybe even something bigger and better and stronger for me? And
Mhm.
so just remember, nothing that happens to you, okay, is going to determine the outcome or the quality of your life. We have a lot of people that have lost their legs and they've been able to climb mountains.
Yeah.
It's mindset. It's a mindset. And so remember that. The other one is the choice that you make, the choice to say, okay, now that I know that there are, call it 7 stages to a
Mhm.
situation like this, how do I eliminate going that low to a depressing stage? If I don't like that feeling, if I don't like to be a victim, how do I just go from the shock to the actual decision to integrate and do execute on it? And so understand who you are, understand your goals, understand what quality of life you want to have. I rather have an enjoyable life, a happy life, not necessarily a life where everything and everyone is sucking my energy. I'll give a quick side note. Yesterday, I'm a Chipotle fan. That's almost like my dinner almost every week, right? I gotta have it. It's somewhat healthy and makes me feel a little bit better. So we went to Chipotle. I met my 2 boys there after work, and the orders got all mixed up. Our order with another customer's order, and you could tell they were like just crazy busy, and things happen. And I
Mhm.
stood there and I was calm. However, the other gentleman was not. And so, he kept making comments about it. And I said, it's fine. It's okay. I mean, like, what's
What's
going to
gonna,
happen?
yeah.
And so, at that moment, you see a lot of people that do go through those reactions, even when little things like that happen. To me, that's a little thing. That doesn't mean anything, right? And so, if anything, I want to be supportive of the staff because I know they have a busy time, especially during dinner. Like, there's a lot of people that are there, and things can get crazy. But I am aware of who I am, and I am aware of the life that I want to have. And so it was not worth for me to spend the next 10 minutes complaining and bickering about how they had our orders mixed up. How did that happen?
Mhm.
There's no, even little things like that, there's no need to waste your energy and anything like that. And then also impact it in a negative way all of the other people that are trying to serve you. And so, how many times do we see that at restaurants or places like that? And it's like, it just, it doesn't make any sense,
Mhm.
And so, little things like that, I ask our listeners to think about it and to challenge themselves every time they have those, even little events like that. I challenge you to actually say, okay, is it really a big deal? What am I really gaining from this? It's sucking my energy. I'm getting my body all tense for no reason. It's just a simple
Mhm.
coffee. It's just a simple meal. It can be replaced. Thank God it can be replaced,
Yeah.
right? So start being aware of your reactions to things, because if you react to little things like that, such as your coffee not having cream or sugar, how are you going to react to those bigger events in life, like losing a loved one? We all go through that stage, right? or losing a job. Some people go through that, or whatever major event that for many people are devastating. And so start challenging yourself and being aware just with little things like that, and see what triggers what, and then work on it. Start working on it and say, you know what, next time that my order gets that I get my coffee wrong or my meal, I am not going to react. I'm just going to embrace the opportunity to challenge myself and think through that process and realize that it was not a big deal. And I made that decision, right? And so I encourage you to do that. The other thing is, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about COVID-19. What I can tell you is we work with a lot of commercial cleaning companies. And one of the first things that I did was to start getting in touch with them, especially local companies here in Kansas City as they come and visit. And just saying, okay, what are you going to do to ensure that your business is thriving and you're not necessarily just kind of throwing the towel, especially if you were doing a lot of janitorial work for theaters and restaurants and all those places that were highly hit, right? And so what we did, we contacted some of the associations and just started to get information about where to get certifications on disinfecting. Let's go ahead and gain a new skill set. And many of our clients went through certifications for disinfecting, and they were able to add that to the menu of services that they have. Many of them also develop memberships for restaurants where they automatically go and say, okay, every so often we're just going to come and disinfect. And if you get a membership, this is going to be the pricing. If it's just a one-off, then this is the pricing. But being able to innovate and embrace that there's change, but there's also an opportunity to go and build something bigger and stronger and more sustainable.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I think why we've seen so many businesses struggle is because they're still in that stage where they're like, oh my gosh, everything's crashing and burning. And they're still in that it's all going wrong. And it's kind of just being like, this is happening to us. And they haven't switched gears yet to, okay, this has happened to us, but the world's different. And there's that idea of there's going to be a new normal once the smoke settles, and once things calm down, there's going to be a new normal in which some things aren't going to stop being media based. Some things aren't going to come back from the idea of quick delivery and accessibility to the way it is right now. So, in the cleaning industry, there's going to be certain levels of things like in sanitation that even though COVID's passed, people are going to still expect that because now they see that there's a benefit to maybe not sharing as many germs all the time and to be more conscious of the surfaces that we interact with. So it's just, you've seen that. Who responded and who said, okay, that happened, now what? Let's go. And who said, oh my gosh, and they're still saying, oh my gosh, so there's a huge difference.
There's a huge difference. And if we look at a history, everything that we have now, it has been made or built or created by those with a growth mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Those ones that, back in 2007, 2008, I'm sorry, when we had the financial crisis,
Mm-hmm.
yes, a lot of people lost a lot, but a lot of people became billionaires out of that situation. And so it's just, it's one of those things where you got to make that decision and say, this is a great opportunity. How can I go in? And while everyone is sleeping or everyone is thinking that the world will end, how can I go and just capitalize on this? And you would be surprised, even for our business, because we have that growth mindset. We've experienced growth of over 1,000% month over month. Yeah, and it's fantastic. But I can tell you the results would have been different if we would have said, well, cleaning companies are not going to be working, or staffing companies, or the world is ending. So let's just stay home and see what happens, a month, 2 months, 3 months.
The world
So
passes.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that decision that we made to embrace the challenges that we were being faced with has led us to grow our business significantly. And not only that, but also to impact so many businesses that impact our economy, those that are hiring people, from staffing companies to construction and commercial cleaning companies. And so don't let what happens in the world dictate the outcome of your life. The only one that can do that is you, and it's not easy. Absolutely not. So realize that, but then work at it. And believe me, life will be so much more better when you embrace it.
Very much so. I would definitely agree. All right. Well, I think this is a really great place to wrap it up. What about you?
I think so too. You can keep me here all day long, and you would have to just say, Amanda, enough is enough. I had it. I think I get it, Amanda.
Yeah, no, well, you're great to talk to, and you have a huge point with the mindset of reacting. Where are we in this S curve? Where are we in one of these stages, and where steps do we have to take to get to that part where we're acting appropriately, where we're moving on and we're moving in a positive direction. So I think this has been a great conversation.
It
So
has. Thank you so much for having me once again. If there's anything that I can do, please follow me. I primarily use Facebook as where we have a large community, but you're more than welcome to follow me at Amanda Villarreal KC. And Villarreal is with double L, double R. So I invite all of you to follow me. I do a lot of presentations for local chambers and also business organizations as well here in Kansas City. And I'm pretty good about staying engaged through my social media. So I invite you to follow me as well.
all right, yeah. And so you can also find Amanda's name in our topic description for the episode, and we'll do a corresponding blog post, of course, and we'll link all of her pages that you can access her at. All right.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. Best of luck to everybody. And Haley, thank you so much for having me again.
Thank you. And goodbye, everybody.